Hallo zusammen. In the second part of Harry Potter quotes in German, we're gonna dive deeper into some well-known quotes that you may have known your entire life in English, but they may be new to you in German. And without further ado, let's dive into this. The first Potter quote in this video does not come from Harry Potter himself, but from someone who at some point even risks his life to save Harry and his friends. Dobby the house elf, which by the way would be similar in German. Der Hauself, singular. Die Hauselfen, plural, the house elf, which not only is a direct equivalent of the English expression, but also an example of a very important linguistic tool in the German language. It is a compound word, meaning it consists of separate words that are merged to one. One last thing, and also really helpful German language learning hack for you guys. If you already know some German vocabulary and you want to determine the gender of a German compound word, it's pretty easy because you just have to look at the last part of it, because that is the one that really determines the entire gender for the compound word. Here, that ending part is elf, which is der Elf, which is a masculine noun. That means that the entire compound word is also masculine. Der Hauself. And speaking of which, his quote is, Dobby ist ein freier Elf. Dobby is a free elf. He says this out loud at the end of the second Harry Potter movie, The Chamber of Secrets, after Harry Potter has gifted him one of his socks, which frees him from being enslaved by Lucius Malfoy. This phrase not only shows that the term elf is similar in English and German, but it also highlights an important and basic difference in written form. In German, all nouns are capitalized, which means it's elf with a capital E. Even though the exact origin of the term elf remains unclear, it can be dated back to Old High German, alp, among other languages, for instance Old Nordic, alfr. The aforementioned Old High German term Alp can still be found today in another term, which is very common still. It's der Albtraum, which means nightmare in English, which itself originates from the German folklore creature der Nachtmar, who according to old legend sits on the breast of sleeping people and therefore makes sleeping harder and evokes bad dreams. I also made a video about that, by the way, so if you want to learn more about that, feel free to check out that video in the end card. I guess even without knowing the term freier as an inflected form of the adjective frei, you may be able to guess its meaning based on the similarity to free in English. Be careful with the German diphthong ei, I, in words like frei, by the way, because even though it is spelled ei, it's pronounced I, basically like the English personal pronoun I. For the second phrase, we're gonna remain in the second movie, but jump a little back in the plot. Remember Harry and Malfoy dueling each other on the catwalk? Malfoy wants to intimidate Harry and he confronts him with the words Angst, Potter, to which the self-esteem loaded Harry replies, Träum, weiter. Now, arguably you may recall the situation, but not with the German words. In English it is, afraid Potter, you wish, which is different yet similar to the German version at the same time. How can that be, Dave? Well, in English, Malfoy uses an adjective, afraid. In German, this could be translated to verängstigt, which already contains the word that Malfoy says in the German dub. Angst, Potter, for die Angst, singular, die Ängste, plural, the fear. In other words, this means, in German, Malfoy uses a noun. I guess a reason for this difference is the fact that the German adjective verängstigt is not totally uncommon, but Angst as a noun may be more commonly used, and it may also be more well known for German children reading or watching this. But that is just my assumption. Either way, both versions are die Frage, singular, die Fragen, plural, the question. And in both cases, Harry replies with der Ausruf, singular, die Ausrufe, plural, the exclamation. Here, the phrasal differences are even bigger. In English, Harry uses the pretty well-known phrase, you wish. What is quite short in English would probably be longer in German. Something along the lines of, das hättest du wohl gern. You would like to have that, right? Literally speaking, meaning you'd certainly like that, right? I guess for both Draco and Harry to appear on the same level, on par. The German translator may have chosen equally long phrases so that they even match linguistically speaking. I could see that fit, I don't know, but I think it works out really well here. Träum weiter. Keep on dreaming, which features the verb träumen, to dream, in the imperative form singular. A fitting choice, I think. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to jump. Right here, right now, with me, but just in time, because now we're gonna have to say goodbye to Snape. But we're doing that by honoring him with quoting his last words, his final words, and analyze them in German. And of course, yeah, I'm talking about Snape's death scene in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2, which in German is Harry Potter und die Heiligtümer des Todes, Teil 2. Translated literally, the German expression Heiligtümer des Todes means sanctuaries of the dead, meaning the dead as a noun, referring to a person or entity. Harry finally finds out more about Snape's real backstory and how he loved his mother, which also leads Snape to say, "Du hast die Augen deiner Mutter," in the German version, for das Auge, singular, die Augen, plural, the eye, and die Mutter, singular, die Mütter, plural, the mother. In English, he says, "You have your mother's eyes," which is very similar except for the syntactical structure. Both versions feature the genitive case, whose eyes is it? It's your mother's eyes, right? It's the eyes of your mother. However, the English way to express a genitive with the apostrophe and the S, for instance, that doesn't exist in German. Even though you may see some Germans here and there writing something, spelling something with that apostrophe, but that's wrong. I'm sorry, we don't have that in German. Just so you know. We would rather use a possessive pronoun and a genitive phrase to indicate this. Die Augen deiner Mutter, for deiner, your being the possessive pronoun. In English, this would be the eyes of your mother. So it would be a bit longer as opposed to the apostrophe version, but it would still work, One last thing, also maybe to lighten up the mood again a little bit. This is a good example of why context matters and semantic knowledge. If you just read that sentence or you just heard that sentence without context, you could theoretically come to the gory conclusion that someone ripped out the actual eyes of the mother and now Harry owns them. You have the eyes of your mother, which luckily, isn't the case. I don't think. I hope not. Conspiracy. Maybe, some very young kids reading this or hearing this without the semantic knowledge, I don't know about them necessarily. Apart from that, this entire context is weird in the movie version anyway. In the book, both Harry and his mother share green eyes. But since Harry Potter actor Daniel Radcliffe struggled to wear green contact lenses due to an allergic reaction, he couldn't have green eyes. J.K. Rowling insisted though that at least it should be the same eye color of Daniel Radcliffe and the person portraying his mother. And since Daniel Radcliffe has blue eyes, the actress playing his mother also has blue eyes. Hope you enjoyed this, and if so, feel free to let me know by sharing the video. That helps a whole lot, by subscribing, liking, commenting, and doing all the fancy stuff, and by watching the first part of this in case you haven't so. And in case you have, you can rewatch it, of course, because it's always nice to check if you memorized something, so just saying. And with that being said, thank you so very much for watching my videos. I really, really do appreciate all of that, and for supporting the channel on Patreon, for instance, or by becoming a YouTube channel member. Thank you very, very much. I really, really dig that. So, definitely see you next time. And with that being said, tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.